This is the intro we're keeping.
How's it going?
It's going. I'm a little concerned that your mind is all over the place, but that's okay because there's not a lot of like diverging narrative threads or plots within plots that we're about to talk about. We're just going to talk about
it's all pretty straightforward.
Fairly straightforward fantasy story in the style of The Hobbit.
It's straightforward. It's straightforward in the same way that war is always straightforward.
Yes, there's a clear good guy and a bad guy. And the good guy always wins, because if the bad guy ever had one, then the world would be over.
That's how that works.
Yep.
Yeah. So last time, Rin joined up with Visra Daddy, who was like, I wanna build a republic, Rin. One where, I'll be in charge. But, like, other people can maybe be voted in or whatever. And all we have to do is a little bit of regicide. So, like, you already wanted to kill the Empress anyway. I'll give you weapons and training, and I'll order you to get sober, and like we'll go kill the Empress. We're gonna go get mean old Farmer Daji and kill her and take over the Carrot Patch. Doesn't that sound great, Rin?
What the hell are you doing? What is this Farmer Daji and the Carrot Patch? Where did that come from?
Words about books.
Yeah, don't stray too far from the established path. Words About Books is a poorly spoken podcast. I'm Ben, he's Nate. We're reading The Dragon Republic. We covered part 1. Viceroy had Rin ready to assassinate the Empress. It failed. Plan B. We just need a few more touchdowns to win this war. We're a little bit behind at the half, but that's okay, guys. Not the first time we've come back from something like this. And Nezha made everyone some delicious orange slices. So let's get our energy back up and get back in the game.
All right. Yeah, so we're down at the half, but we've got a bigger navy, and we can win because we have a bigger navy. So,
we've got a big
checkmate.
Navy, and navies are important. It turns out every major city in Nicara is along a waterway. Can we talk for a moment about how freaking deep the rivers?
I was gonna say, these are very wide, very deep rivers.
Yeah.
Because gigantic warships can go through them pretty easily. Not just warships, but fleets of warships.
I don't know a lot about like the Yangtze or the major rivers of China. Maybe they are insanely deep, but they are floating what sounds like proto battleships down these rivers.
Yes.
Maybe I've got it wrong.
Some of them are big tower ships.
Yeah, maybe I've got it wrong. I don't know, but it seems like these rivers are basically oceans. Like they have ocean-going ships just going down these rivers. Like it's no problem. So I don't know. But because of these super deep rivers and super cool 3-story battleships that can float on the rivers, then every major city is vulnerable to attack by water. And this country, where that is a thing, does not have a navy. Except for
the Dragon Navy, pretty much.
So,
I mean, it's pointed out that this navy was basically untouched by the Poppy War.
Yeah.
And so, the Imperial Navy, it's probably there, just got wrecked. And also it was, underdeveloped.
But isn't it suspicious how there's this big navy that wasn't there in the Poppy War? Like, shouldn't it have been?
Yeah, he didn't help. Look, I don't know if you realize this or not, but Visra is kind of a dick.
But like, why would Visra want the Muganese? I mean, this seems like maybe there's some sort of quadruple cross going on here. Was
he
Visra?
Definitely wasn't trying to weaken both the Muganese and the Empress by having them fight each other in a prolonged, bloody war for survival. He would never do something like, I can't. You know what? I'm going to go report this to him. You just wait right here. I'm sure he's going to have a good talking to you in the middle of the night.
Well,
in a secluded jail cell that no one knows about.
I'll murder you, and I'll take your body out on a sampan and weigh it down with some rocks.
Oh man, no one's ever gonna find me then, because
No,
as we established, that's like
crime.
a mile-long trench in the ground.
I didn't actually go that far out, though. I mean, I went to a deep part, but like not that far away.
Ah, yeah, that's kind of bonehead move. You could have easily concealed me in a river forever.
If only I had some sort of firepower that could turn your body to ash.
Yeah, but you don't. I mean,
I don't. I mean, sometimes I do, but this is one of those times where I don't.
You definitely only want to burn off my genitals. Like, that's how you would identify me.
You're not wrong. The Hesperians take detailed prints.
Yeah, exactly.
They can tell by the veins of your which guy's which.
So Rin actually doesn't have firepower right now. We learned that because Neja's shitty brother Jinsha,
Or Jinsha.
Because it's Neja, so I figured it was Jinsha, right?
Well, again, and I'm assuming it's Neja.
Look, everyone, I'm trying. And if you want to correct me, I'm willing to accept your correction. I'm gonna call him Jinsha until someone tells me differently.
Okay.
Jinsha provokes Rin because he wants to see the fire, which is really good for him that she doesn't have the fire, because she would have murdered him right then and there. He would be a pile of ashes if she still had the fire.
Yeah. But luckily she didn't start the fire, though it had always been burning.
God damn it.
Since the world's been turning.
So she can't be held accountable, is what we're saying.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, Jinsha is going to be the general.
But Neja is also a general.
Yeah, Neja is also a general.
Generals for everyone.
I was watching a documentary on the war in the Pacific, and like people were getting medals of honor just left, right, and center. Like they're just handing them out like candy.
I remember reading a book where before the Pacific campaign started in America, they ordered the manufacturers to just start making Purple Hearts. And like if I had been the guy at the Purple Heart factory, I'd have been like,
anyway, General Jinsha, he's the firstborn son of Viceroy, and he is a massive dick. He's just a horrible shit person. What else is new? Anyway,
he is very like Draco Malfoy for no reason.
For no reason, but he's got this air of superiority, Ben. And anyway, also Rin, like we said, doesn't have the fire. Daji has placed some sort of poison on her soul, where she can't summon the flames. So she's gonna have to go on a quest. Actually, it's not. It happens like later, kind of out of nowhere, where she gets the
takes
fire
it surprisingly
back.
well. She doesn't immediately go on a quest to get the fire back. She's just like, well,
I can use a sword.
I'm done with this job.
Well, she's like, oh god, Visor won't want me anymore.
There is, yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, considering she's young, I mean, younger than you remember when you're reading the book, she's abused. She's never had parental figures. She's never been wanted. She's had to like fight and scrape for everything she has. So the notion that somebody does need her.
She's never ever had an attachment to a horrible person before, so like Visra is going to be a slam dunk.
She, deep down, she knows.
She does start to come around to it. She's like, oh yeah, I guess it does make sense. He's a fucking asshole.
Well, like even when she's having these thoughts about how happy his approval makes her, she knows she shouldn't. She knows there's a very good chance he's just going to ditch her, or that he's doing this just as a power grab for himself.
So the moral of the story is you should be someone who needs yourself. You need to be comfortable in your own skin. You need to be Like, all those inspirational Facebook images, like, you don't need someone to validate you. You just need yourself. And you need to be happy with who you are. What an uplifting story this
I was going to say, I don't know why you're saying that so sarcastically. That kind of is one of the big themes.
It is, I know. Ben, sometimes I just can't turn it off, okay? You're just going to have to deal with that.
And maybe I'm talking like this because I can't stop. Help me, Lisa. I have serious mental problems.
Yeah, I'm just saying that maybe you should focus on your mental health and that maybe you should seek therapy. God.
So, Viceroy, the war lines are being drawn. Like I said, those southern warlords, they're coming to Viceroy's cause. They're bringing a whole bunch of untrained soldiers and, like, no money, but they've got food. And, like, then Viceroy's old master, the snake warlord, Solon, he's here. We've got all kinds of soldiers and it's going to be great. And guess what we're going to do with all this naval power? We're going to blockade them, and they'll have to turn on Daji then, because that's what always happens. Definitely they don't get, like, angry with the people who are blockading them and preventing them from getting food. They turn on their leader. That's how that works.
Well, the correct thing to do would be to attack as soon as they possibly can.
Yes. While Daji is still trying to gather her forces, you gotta strike.
Yeah, but none of them are willing to commit any troops or material to an offensive. They want a safe path to victory.
Even though it feels like the Dragon Warlord, he's supplying like 80% of the forces that are on the field.
The book is...
I feel like he could use his navy single-handedly, and, like, the Southern Warlords can just get fucked. I mean...
Well, so here's the thing. He kind of could have. And I'm not going to begrudge a book for not boring me with the logistical details of executing a battle. I understand a lot goes into establishing supply lines and figuring out the number of men and material you need to take an objective. I don't need to know all of that in my fantasy story where people shoot fire out of their mouth. What I need is exactly what I was given. I have just enough army to do this thing, but if I don't have these guys, I won't have enough to do this thing. So he can't just go attack the capital or whatever, because those guys won't commit their troops, and that means he has not enough troops to do the thing. So they're going to do another thing. They're going to take that big honkin' navy, and they're going to sail, and they're just going to attack cities up and down the coast, which is most of the cities, also up and down the river. They've mastered riverine warfare, which is the first time I've ever heard that term. They don't do that yet.
They just do a blockade.
Well, I don't think... Do they ever do the blockade?
Yes.
I think they just kind of immediately start going out.
No, they do a blockade. They're like, we sold them damaged seeds that won't work, so they're going to starve to death anyway, and then we're just going to make sure no other shipments from somewhere...
It's not really a blockade. They just refuse. Like, they don't send ships out to prevent stuff from coming in. It's just they're the guys who ship the grain. So they just don't ship grain anymore. That's not really what I would call a blockade. They just sort of...
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't call it a blockade. Balls in your court, RF Kuang.
Okay, so they stopped shipping them food. Probably a good idea, though. I was a little surprised to hear that they were still shipping them food.
Yeah.
Generally,
hey, we're joining your cause, and
needless to say, now that I have declared war on you, I will not be getting you a Christmas gift.
But you know why Visor is really waiting around? He needs real reinforcements. He needs fucking battle blimps. Fuck yeah.
He's made a deal with the Hesperians. And that deal is... to let them come hang out, condescend to him for a long time, and maybe, if they think he's worthy of it, maybe contribute some ships.
Yeah, what an awesome deal. I definitely wouldn't have, murdered them and blamed it on Daji. I definitely wouldn't have killed every last person in their guard, thrown them in the river near the Imperial Palace and said, I can't believe Daji did such a horrible thing. But they've got guns.
Well, and again,
Arquebuses.
and again, I think
And battle blimps.
you're saying it like, oh, what a stupid thing Viceroy did, and that's what
Ben,
everybody else.
That's how I always.
Right.
Come on.
But that's what everybody else should have been saying, because that was a stupid thing Viceroy did, and she's going somewhere with it. And that is one thing I really respect about the Poppy War trilogy so far, is that every time something strikes me as off or an overtly dumb decision, it is. And there is something off about it. And there is something going on. So, obviously, Viceroy is selling his country out to the Hesperians.
What? What? Oh, whoa, hold on, Ben. That is a big accusation to just be, throwing around. Look, do I need to pull out a graph on how, he's bringing the democracy... He's bringing the democracy to the masses of people, and, these other people, they're just here to provide, friendly relations and such.
It's like, every time I say the word democracy, if you disagree, you're saying you don't like democracy.
No. The correct word is freedom, Ben.
Yeah.
I'm bringing the freedom. I'm doing the freedom for the freedom people of all the freedoms. I'm giving them the freedom to choose to have freedom. Freedom. Hesperia. Yeah! Coming again to save the day, yeah! Hesperia. Yeah! Freedom is the only way, yeah! Terrorists, your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to...
Giving them the freedom to not charge me a tariff. Unfortunately, I don't have that freedom, so I'm still going to have to charge them a tariff. In many ways, you've actually made it out of this better than I have.
I don't see your point. And you're wrong. You're actively wrong, in fact. Freedom. And so the Hesperians, they're pushing their freedoms on Rin. Specifically, the freedom to examine her without her consent, really, because, if you say no, we're just going to cart you away to a dungeon cell.
Yeah, they really do a lot of hand waving away of consent in general. And I'm not just talking about with Rin, with obviously super invasive examinations that basically are abuse.
But the Maker, Ben. But intelligent design, Ben. Look,
I did love the intelligent design part.
You found a watch on the ground, right? And you're like, someone had to have made this. This couldn't have developed naturally. Therefore, Maker. I do like that Rin at least considers, okay, I've been to the Pantheon, but, maybe there's actually something beyond that. And I'm thinking, that's something you brought up last time, where it's enlightenment might be beyond that. It's not necessarily, the Maker, but there might be something beyond 64 gods who just want to, break shit in the real world.
Yeah. So this is what a lot of actual missionaries did. They would go to places and they wouldn't say, oh, your gods aren't real. They're just made up. They would be like, yeah, no, that's a demon. That's a real supernatural entity, but it's a demon and it's tricking you and it's trying to keep you from the right path and salvation. And we got to stop it.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. To be fair to the Hesperians, which I don't really want to be, but Rin did blow up an entire island and kill a shitload of people. I mean, she definitely comes off as a demon.
Don't get me wrong. I had the thought... I'll put it this way. I still need to read the third book. So there is still some stuff I'm skeptical on. But so far, every time I've been skeptical on something, she's really going somewhere with it.
Yeah,
Because
I think
again,
this book actually it explained or improved upon some of the flaws and issues we had with the first book. I think this is actually, as much as I like the first book, I think this is a much better book.
no, I agree. But the first thing I was thinking when the Hesperians started explaining intelligent design to Rin, which I'll just let you know now in case it was not clear, I don't believe in intelligent design. The shamans, the way they're described, it's literal possession. I mean, they're possessed by a supernatural entity which eventually takes over their body and ruins their life and leads them to the Chulu Korik, which is eternal damnation. So, on the surface, if somebody told you those things are demons, oh boy, they look a lot like demons. And the idea that there is a benevolent maker deity who is trying to control them but needs your help, then yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, the one wrinkle in the Hesperian religion is that they say that the maker is not omnipotent, which, okay, well then who made the chaos?
There was always chaos.
Right.
And the Maker
yeah.
came in to bring order to the chaos.
So who made the maker?
The Maker has always been.
Well, Nate, no. See, I found a maker on the beach, and he was all put together, and he was making all sorts of stuff for me. And I had to think to myself, well, this couldn't just have come about naturally. If there's a maker, there must be a maker of the maker.
You know, Rin probably should have said that because it would have been funnier.
I mean, it's
She's
just
not a philosophical person, though, so...
no. It only goes that's intelligent design only goes one layer deep. Problem solved. I like what they're doing. Like I was wondering how they were going to try to make the Hesperians tempting.
They didn't. That's how
Yeah.
she solved that problem. They came in and were like, the nicest one of them was like, you know, you're inferior, but like that doesn't mean we can't be friends. Like you're not really a person. You're kind of like a lesser humanoid type thing, but like we could still be friends.
Yeah.
That's as nice and tempting as it gets.
Well, yeah, the Hesperians' extreme racism, and obviously I say extreme, I understand that, yeah, the missionaries that went to China probably actually said a lot of those things.
Yeah, no, I'm not disputing that this is...
This happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say, like, oh, this isn't realistic. Now, this is very realistic. This is
Yeah.
depressingly realistic, actually.
No, and that's why I said, or one of the things I said in my Goodreads review is, grimdark fantasy likes to often claim that it is, hard hitting and brutal, and it shows the real consequences and the real horrors of war. And I've read a lot of grimdark fantasy, and none of it really makes me uncomfortable. The Poppy War makes me uncomfortable.
Poppy War made me very uncomfortable.
Well, and it's not just, obviously I'm a white guy, and the Europeans are not the good guys, and it's not just that. It's not just that I'm having to look in the mirror at my own culture and see some ugliness. That obviously does make me uncomfortable, but the things Rin has to go through, the abuses and traumas and stuff, I don't know, it just does a much better job of grimdark than I think a lot of grimdark does, and I think it's on a lot of grimdark lists, but I think it should be higher. And it's challenging. It makes you think a little bit. So I think it's interesting where it diverges in that the maker is not omnipotent. I think that throws a lot of interesting wrinkles in a lot of the Christian apologetic arguments.
Except for the super maker, as we just brought up, is omnipotent.
Yes.
So
Yes. So there you go. But that there would be agents of chaos is interesting. I wondered if they were going to try to make it seem to Rin that she should quit shamanism.
yeah, I
They
was
didn't
thinking,
hammer that
like,
hard enough.
No, Rin talks about, like, You know, it would be kind of nice to think about, like, when I die, I'm gonna go to, like, some sort of paradise, and, like, that's actually a pretty tempting thing because we are taught when we die, we're just nothing, basically. And that kind of sucks because this life sucked, and then I'm gonna stop existing. And it would be kind of cool to have, like, a heaven. And that's, like, the one tempting thing, and then they're just total assholes. Again, that happened. So
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say is they could have done more with Petra. And at first I was thinking maybe that's a criticism. Maybe Rin and Petra should have just had conversations. And
well,
Petra
she's
that
not
way.
a philosopher.
Well, that's what I was
isn't.
going to say is Petra's not a philosopher. That's the problem. Is
Right.
the religion and that's another interesting choice they made was that the religion and the science were very much tied together, which in the church's history that has been true. A lot of science came out of the church around the time of the event she's borrowing from, like around Mao's time. The church and science weren't getting along as much anymore. But Petra could have maybe converted Rin. I mean, I think there was an opening there if she had treated Rin with any degree of respect. And I think maybe that was an intentional choice on Kuang's part, is to show that Rin sees some interesting things in Makerism, maybe. And I think that a Hesperian could make a convincing argument that the gods that the shaman worship are more demonic than they are benevolent. I mean, they're not helping you for free. They're trying to take something from you. They're not answering your prayers. They want your body. They want to get into the world so that they can screw it up. I mean, it's kind of evil. And you could plant those seeds of doubt in Rin's head. And then later Rin, finds out she's kind of doing shamanism wrong.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. We go back to, like, yeah, she could have enlightenment and inner peace, but, like, that doesn't let you burn people. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And I don't know. The Hesperians were interesting. I think even the guy you're saying, though, as not being racist, I just don't. I think that guy was nice, but yeah, there really is no overcoming that fundamental inability to see somebody even slightly different from you as human. Because, like, let's be real, the differences between different humans are really superficial. We look much more similar than we look different. But boy, do we latch on to the differences. And so the Hesperians are scrambling from the conclusion to, like, find justifications for it. Like, they've decided they're superior, so they need to latch on to every little difference between us to prove why we're superior.
Yeah, and Neja also kind of shits on Rin. He's talking about how, like, there's a creation myth. Weirdly enough, from the serpent, but it was the serpent that Daji used, right?
Yeah.
And, like, she was lonely, and so she decided to create people. And so she made these people, she crafted them, and then she kind of got lazy and just kind of threw some mud at a wall or whatever, and those became the fucking Nikaran southerner farmer dirt people. And the people she handcrafted, those are the upper class nobility from the north.
Well, yeah, it's a creation myth that justifies the aristocracy.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why I think Kuang is making careful choices of, like, all the times people could have maybe seduced Rin to their side with better arguments, and then they just can't because their prejudices. Like, in order to properly convince somebody to convert to your way of thinking, you need to be able to put yourself in their shoes at least enough to understand what arguments would work on them. And that's what both the Hesperians and the Nikarans have failed to do with Rin, because Rin is not a Nikaran. She is a Spearly.
Well, let me help you out, okay? We'll do a little thought exercise, all right?
Okay.
I am Hesperian Nate. You're Nikara Ben, okay? And I want you to buy me a coffee, all right? So, hey, you're stupid and ugly and like your gods are fake. Buy me a coffee. Do it. Buy me a coffee. Ben, buy me a coffee right now. Go to www.buymeacoffee.com. WAB. Do it. Why aren't you doing it yet, Ben? Go buy me a coffee, you stupid idiot.
Counterpoint. Why don't you buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/WAB?
Look, Ben, this website, okay? This website had to have been designed by someone.
Yeah. Some god must have designed this website. It's glorious. We're giving buymeacoffee.com too much free publicity here.
Well, let's go a little hard on the Nikarans now, as they decide to resort to the old war crimes playbook. That's kind of like the default. They're poisoning the water, which kills the psych water guy. He's dead now. I'm sure we're all sad. Rin actually not really sad. He was a good weapon.
There's a lot of Rin being brutally honest about how intensely she doesn't feel the deaths of people who should be close to her, but she never really talked to.
So the poison, they release poison, which I guess is just like condensed mustard gas that they put in pigs' bladders and throw it into the river, and it releases in the city of Arlong. That's the dragon capital. But also, it's going to run into the rice paddies in the south and poison all of the food supply.
Yep.
War crimes indeed. So now we can't...
I take minimal comfort in being killed in a non-criminal fashion versus a criminal fashion. Like, you're going to die. We're going to kill all of you. But if we kill you this way, that's not cool.
Yeah, exactly.
If we kill you this way, then okay.
So this poison breaks the blockade thing, the plan. They're like, okay, well, we can't sit back anymore. Let's sail up the river, and let's just start conquering territory. And also, they need to find the source of this poison, which they locate way upriver it's like a slaughterhouse where they're just wasting a ton of pig meat, Ben.
In a horror video game level.
Just tons of wasted meat during a famine.
Yeah, it does seem like there had to be a way to like redistribute some of that.
Instead of just wasting it and taking their bladders.
I mean, it made a nice haunted house. I did go to a haunted house once where I had to crawl through a slaughterhouse, and then like one of the pigs wasn't a pig, and then somebody jumped out at me with a chainsaw. That was a lot like what happened to Ren. Yeah,
they find their old classmate who I've forgotten. I actually didn't remember her. I think maybe she went into medicine or something.
Young or something.
Well, I like that Kite solves the problem by shooting her in the face. They're having a debate.
Shot her in the chest.
Whatever, dude. They're having a debate, and he's like, yeah, this is getting nowhere. Bam! Dead. And he's pretty shell-shocked, and Rin's just like, it's a little weird.
There's also two themes going on here, and one is when you're fighting a defensive war against a foreign invader, then it feels better psychologically. Like you feel more in the right versus where you're fighting
the aggressor.
Well, not only the aggressor, but the aggressor in your own country. Like you're fighting people you literally know, like people you literally went to school with.
Yeah, Neja, we find out, is actually, he's been training for this war the entire time, so he's known he was going to have to betray and possibly kill his classmates.
Which is suspicious, because, like, I knew Daji was a bad guy, because I knew she betrayed the shamans, but, like, how did you know she was a bad guy?
Well, you see, she's limiting our freedom. It's a freedom, Ben.
My freedom.
My freedom. So yeah, let's go on the warpath, Ben. They're sailing up the river.
And the hits just don't stop coming. It's victory after victory after victory.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, let's not push our luck. Let's stop here. Had enough victory.
Hold on. You got to remember that all these people, they had the right to choose if they wanted to join the Dragon Republic after the victory, right? They're like, hey, you can vote and you can join us, or you can vote to have all your men 16 and over marched out to the beach and beheaded. The choice is yours. We're giving you the freedom to pick.
No, it's literally the choice every person is ever given by a zombie horde.
So yeah, they have victory after victory after victory. The Muganese are there as well. Oh yeah, there's also some, like, Rin uses a baby as a hostage. I was not about that. As I have a baby.
Oh my god. Oh god. The kid has a baby and now no one can use a baby as a hostage. Jesus Christ.
Not a cute baby, okay?
It was an evil baby. It was the son of an evil man. You're telling me if you could kill baby Hitler, you wouldn't just because you knew you had a kid?
I wouldn't, because then we would have probably a worse outcome somehow. I don't know what's going to happen. I'd probably fuck everything up, though.
I don't know. You're telling me if you could kill baby Joseph Stalin?
No. Never.
he was born with that mustache. And
he had to have been born with that mustache and a pipe in his hand.
Oh, God. So you became like a full-blown Stalin communist somewhere along the line. And I became some like William Gibson-esque like anarchist. That's what Words About Books has done to us. It's like I'm living in Chiba in my cyberpunk dystopian future, and you're sending people to a gulag somewhere. But we definitely know that every time someone proposes democracy, it's a trap.
Yeah. I'm glad we figured this out.
Yeah.
So yeah, they victory their way up the coast or up the river, and then Jinja, a strategic mastermind. Okay?
I feel like you're saying it almost exactly the way I would say it. Like I would say Jinja, or Jinja, but you're like Jinja, like ninja.
General Jinja. General Jinja. That guy. Jinja. Neja's brother.
General Jinja.
Neja's brother, he has some brilliant plans of like, let's keep going. We need a decisive victory, even more decisive than all these victories, to show these Hesperians that we can win this war. I know winter is coming and like food supplies are running out. There's been a mutiny from some of the Muganese prisoners.
And Kite's like trying to explain to him that there's like, you know, when you're up by 30 points, you put your second string quarterback in at the very least, because if your first string quarterback gets injured, he's going to be out for the whole season, and then you might have just thrown the entire thing.
If your first string quarterback gets injured and then baked into some food and served to their father, it's going to just destroy morale, and you're going to be fucked. So like, hey, let's set up for the winter, or I guess sail back, because we don't have the supplies to continue this. So let's sail back, we'll find winter quarters, and also, we haven't seen any Navy yet, and there's gotta be a Navy somewhere, and it's probably waiting for us up there, so like, let's think about this, man.
And then they posted a bunch of like bulletin board sized signs all along the way that said, "Turn back now, abandon hope, all ye who enter, the Navy is definitely here." They send out scouts. They confirm that, in fact, the Navy is definitely there. They're in the lake.
There's also landmines, or water mines, I guess. But yeah, they're in the lake, and Jinja is like, hey, old master Wolfmeat General Chang En. I didn't know you were my master, but I just found out. You know what you should do? You should surrender now. And you can join the glorious Dragon Republic. Do you hate freedom, sir? Oh yeah, also when Rin is like, hey, your brother's kind of losing it, Nezha just straight up calls her spearly trash. What the dude?
Yeah, a little casual racism amongst friends, you know?
Also, Nezha is a shaman. He has control over water, but, like, he can't control the god. He explored a cave as a kid, and his kid brother was eaten, and that bothered me, because his kid brother was a little apple-cheeked kid, and, like, you know, not cool, man.
Jesus Christ, when are these baby hormones going to wear off?
In 18 years. Possibly 15, I don't know.
It's going to be really hard to do Ben's Horror Bullshit Month if I have to keep avoiding books where infants die.
I would like to go the whole next year without reading a book that has surprise sexual assault.
I will try. You know the other thing I've learned from doing words about books?
There's a surprising amount of sexual assault in literature.
Yeah, and there's a surprising amount of like underage relationships in literature. Why is every girl 15? Good luck editing that. You have to cut a lot out of this one.
Turns out that Navy that it turns out was there all along, they beat the fuck out of Jinja. And also, Fei Lin is here. You remember that wind guy that was released from the last book and then, like, we didn't do anything about? Here he is.
I know why it bothers me, the way you say his name. It bothers me because it sounds like you're saying ginger, but kind of street. Ginger. I put ginger on my sushi. Oh, God. Oh, no, that's a bad analogy because they ate him.
So, yeah.
That was really insensitive.
He picks up their ships, Rin falls over a waterfall, and all is lost. But luckily, she, Chagan, Kara, and Kite. Yeah, they all wash up ashore along with a bunch of fucking Hesperians. And wouldn't you know, there are some hinterlanders, and don't call them that because that's not what they're called. And they're here because this whole shaman experiment, it's over. No more shaman for Nikara. We're killing them all.
No. We need those.
Yeah, no, actually, this is one of the few times that Rin has some level of diplomacy, although she then squanders it by calling...
What are you talking about? She doesn't have any level of diplomacy. She's beaten into submission.
Let me defend myself, okay? Yes, okay, she's beaten into submission, but she's also like, hey, you need me because I can kill Daji. And
she attempts to kill them 3 times.
Yeah.
Or 2 times, and they warn her, if you try that again, we are going to kill you.
Yeah, but then she's like, hey, you need me because I can kill Daji. And they're like, no, we could deal with Daji at any time we want. And it's like, yeah, and I could have quit opium at any time I want. You see where this is stupid? Like, you would have done it by now if you could have. Let me kill Daji because she's afraid of me.
Have you tried having Viceroy to order you to kill Daji? Because he did that to me. And opium was the easy one.
So, yeah. She's like, we're going to remove this venom. You're going to go on a spiritual quest. You're finally going to kill Alton. It's going to bring relief to everyone reading about this story because Alton's such a fucking shithead and we're so done with him. And you're going to kill him in your dreams, and now the venom is out. And now that the venom is out, try to summon the flames. And then Rin can't summon the flames, and she's like, you know what? This is why Daji killed your daughter. Your daughter sucked. You're ugly. The hinterlanders are garbage people. Oh God! Why are you killing me with your mind? I just wanted to summon the flames. Oh, is it because I insulted you, your daughter, and your people? Oh, the pain.
Yeah, and then the lady's like, I'll await your apology. And she's like, I'm sorry, I was just really upset.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was mad.
Rin, like, you're caught in the cycle of abuse, Rin. So I have a lot of sympathy for you. But you're also perpetuating the cycle of abuse.
Maybe don't call this woman whose sister was killed by the Empress and
who's helping you.
Yeah, who's helping you. Maybe don't be like, yeah, your daughter was a piece of shit and deserved to die, and your people suck and they're weak. Like even though you've only known the story of her daughter for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Like, it was literally just a case of somebody was like, I have a daughter who died. And you're like, oh, she was probably a jerk. This is where
if your daughter wasn't a fucking dumbass, she'd be alive today. Did you think about that? Oh, the mind pain. I forgot you could hurt people with your mind.
So this is a point where, look, Rin, I don't know if there's any way back for Rin. I said that at the end of the last book, too. I don't know how any human being deals with the shit Rin has had to deal with. She has had several lifetimes worth of trauma.
Okay, that's where you're wrong. She isn't a human being. She's the burning motherfucking god.
Yeah, no, she's not.
She's the burning god.
She's very much a scarred, tortured human being.
Look, Ben. She's gonna have an arc where she's gonna become a great leader, and nothing bad will ever happen to her. She's gonna die at the ripe old age of like 85, and she's gonna write a memoir about all this, and that's what we're reading right now.
I don't think Rin is gonna survive the Burning God.
I hope that she does, because it would subvert my expectation that she would die horribly in the Burning God.
What I don't understand about this scene, so we're about to find out that there is a way that Rin can call the Phoenix. A little convoluted.
Yeah, she can call the Phoenix without any negative repercussions. So, like, why haven't we just been doing this all along?
Well, there are negative repercussions, but essentially what she needs is a spiritual adapter. She needs to link her spirit to another spirit so that she can call the Phoenix through that spirit, and that will circumvent the seal that Daji placed in her mind. The person who's going to volunteer for that is Kite. Now, I want to talk about this for a second. My thing with Kite at this point is no amount of anger would convince me to tie myself to Rin. And there's a real simple thing that you keep waiting for Rin to get better, and she never does.
What are you talking about? She becomes a rebel leader at the end.
Right. But she keeps trying, like, even though she's tied to Kite now, you think maybe that's going to be a moment where she takes a step back and worries that, if she gets herself killed by being stupid, it's not just her life on the line anymore.
But, and this is an important counterpoint, right? It lets her shoot fire. So,
right, and that's all it is to her. And that's my problem is they talk about how, like, oh, you need a good bond. Like, oh, do you love Kite? Does he love you? It's like, yeah.
He's also angry.
Yeah, okay, he's angry. That's great. But I don't even so much care about Kite. Like, I wouldn't have done it if I wouldn't have done it for her if I was Kite. That's different. I have a different relationship with people like Rin. But Rin still, for the rest of the book, does her damnedest to make sure everyone is trying to kill her. Like, she keeps making these decisions. I'm bouncing ahead a bit, but there is a point where she catches a Hesperian raping a girl, and she kills the guy.
And
Just kills him.
Burns his genitals.
Yeah, she tortures him a little bit and whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying she was wrong to stop that or anything like that.
Well,
but,
that's her argument. Well, should I just let him keep doing it? It's like, well, there's other options than just kill him and then put him in a little bit of shallow water and hope for the best.
Yeah, there's
kill him in a way where it's obvious that you were the one who killed him.
Don't kill him.
Or burn him so thoroughly that he is ash. Yeah.
But she's like, well, if they find a burned corpse, they're gonna know it was me. And it's like they're always gonna know it's you. Like, somebody probably saw you do it. Like, here's what you do: you interrupt it, you beat him bloody, and you send him back to the Hesperians, and you say he was raping somebody. That's what your religion is. That's your makerism. That's how you're trying to convert people. You can take the high ground if you didn't kill the guy, and you could say he deserved to die.
Fuck him.
Well, yeah, counterpoint, fuck him. Counterpoint, you just fucked Kite.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's my thing, is she never stops making selfish choices. Rin keeps killing people she thinks deserve to die with no regard for the consequences, because her thinking they deserve to die is simply enough. And then when other people apply that same logic to the world, she gets all bent out of shape. When other people are like, well, then some peasants are going to starve because I have a larger ideal that is more important than their lives. Granted, Rin's killings are more justified morally, I think. Killing a rapist is, orders of magnitude more morally sound than letting a peasant starve to death because of your political agenda. But they're both, like, irresponsible.
Well,
especially
the peasant who is going to have to die, I don't think they care about your moral agenda, whether you did it justly or not, like you said. They don't care if they got war crimed to death or they were just killed traditionally.
Well, and my thing with Rin is you're killing a Hesperian, and it's like, should he be above justice because he's Hesperian? No. But if you don't show an ounce of restraint just this once, you're gonna get Kite killed too. And that just doesn't mean anything to you.
It means something to her when she thinks about it after the fact.
Yeah, and that's my problem with Ren. You can't be both a genius.
You can apologize. I'm sorry. I killed that guy and burned him horribly and dumped him in the water. I'm sorry.
Well, and
it worked for BP.
It's like, Rin, what do you think is happening to the cities you're taking over? What do you think is happening to the peasants?
They got freedom. Papa
Right.
Vizra said so.
Certainly no rape is being perpetuated as long as this war and instability goes on, right?
No, because they have freedom. They
As
have
long
the
as it's
freedom
not
to
happening,
choose to not be raped.
Yeah, as long as it's not happening in front of your eyes, it's fine. And that's the thing that I hate about Rin. Like, and I do think it's intentional. You're supposed to be sympathetic towards Rin because she does nice things for people who no one else is nice to. But at the same time, she just makes decisions that hurt people on an like, in the micro, Rin is a very moral person. In the macro, she is one of the worst people who has ever lived. And I guess that might be what Kuang's saying about Mao, is what happens when a human being can make an offhanded comment and 1 million people die. No human should ever really have that much power. But I started to, like, I don't think I'm rooting for Rin any longer. I think the Poppy War ended with me wanting Rin to get better, or maybe thinking like there is a way forward for her. One of the things that does frustrate me about the book, and again, we'll have to see where Burning God goes with it, is, at this point, Rin meets the true shaman, and she learns a lot about what shamanism can be and how it can be stable, and she just doesn't care. She just continues to use it for war, and it is frustrating for me, I guess, as a lore person, to see this world get all expanded and know that none of it means anything to the main character. They're not at all interested in it, and they're probably just going to die miserable at the end.
Yeah, but now, not only will she die miserable, but Kite will also die.
There's two ways this is going to go. Either Kite dies first and tells Rin to keep going, and Rin gets the seal unblocked, and she can use the Phoenix without Kite. Maybe that's how this resets again in the Burning God, is that Kite dies and she has to figure out a way to unlock the Phoenix herself. Or...
well, if Kite dies, she would die.
Well, not if he gives permission for her to live.
No, they have to have a ritual to unbind them.
Yeah, like Chagan and Kara did. They did it in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but Kite and Rin don't know the ritual.
They just watched it.
Yeah, they probably don't know how to recreate it. I don't care if he has a photographic memory.
He's going to do it. The ritual is going to get done. They wouldn't have put that in the story if it wasn't going to happen. Like,
they already did it with Kara.
No, that's set up. It's going to... Rin and or Kite are going to die. And the one of them is going to say that the other should go on. Now, it might be Rin dying and saying Kite should go on, and then she has a sacrifice that makes her seem human again.
Or they just both die. Because Rin is almost assuredly dying, and then Kite will also die.
They're not going to die because of the link. They're not both going to die because of the link.
I don't know.
You're getting a Ben prediction.
Before.
You're getting a Ben prediction right now. I'm making it.
Okay, so when you're wrong, what do I get?
I don't know. What do you want to bet on this?
Smug satisfaction.
I will bet you a book pick.
That's a pretty...
Yeah, these are rough stakes because we're both going to do our best to torture the other with our pick.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna have to think about that one. That one's.
I'm gonna try to find a book about a werewolf that eats only babies. oh, someone's suddenly not so confident, are they?
You know what?
I'm going to clarify right now. My prediction is that they do the ritual. That is the key prediction this is hinging on. This is agonizing for you.
This is because I feel like I am totally right, but I don't know if I want to bet that.
I feel like I am totally right.
Wrong.
I'll put it this way: if there is no, if they don't unbind themselves, if they die together because of the link, then this is bad writing. I would actually go so far as to say that there is no reason to introduce the idea that the link could be undone if you're never going to use it.
Well, they
because
did.
Chagan and Kara doesn't count. It doesn't.
It
matter.
does. There it is.
It doesn't matter. That's not a payoff. Nobody cares. Kara's barely a character. They're not going to go through all this hassle of making up the fact that Rin and Kite can be linked and that they can unlink, but there's very specific rules. And then demonstrate how it's done and then never mention it again. There's just no way.
You know what, Ben? I'm betting you that they die from the link.
All right.
I'm betting you a book spot. When do we want to read the Dragon
as soon as possible.
Or not the Dragon, but the Burning God.
Let's do it in February.
And you'll talk about how I was right. And
we'll see.
I hope so, because
I don't know why they would. If they don't, I'm going to say this was stupid.
Well, okay, there have been a few decisions that RF Kuang have made that I was like, that was kind of dumb.
You're right. And it could be the face stealer moment.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't fault her for that. She's super young, and she's written such great material on her first and second try. It's I wish I had that level of talent.
Well, and no book is perfect.
Right.
And the stuff that doesn't fit, it's like we even said, it's not even that it's bad stuff, it just doesn't fit. And it kind of just hits the pacing a little hard. But that's what I would say about this too. If this is not a thing, if the Hinterlander crap does not come back again, then this whole I'm actually going to go so far as to say
I
if
think
they don't,
something's going to have to happen with the Hinterlander stuff because
I don't know how
Okay,
they
sorry.
could possibly come back.
Well, I don't. Okay, so real quick, let's wrap that Hinterlander thing up, right? So
Okay.
Kite and Rin, they're linked now, so that Rin can channel the fire through Kite without the risk of going insane, right? And
Right.
then there's a coup that, like, Chagin's cousin kills his mom, the Sora...
I said like Sarkensira or something.
Sarkensira. That sounds bad. The Sarkensira is betrayed and killed by her son, who is Chagin's nephew or cousin. Sorry, Chagin's cousin, and
She's his aunt.
they basically do a coup, and then Chagin's like, they're gonna slaughter my tribe. I've got to go back. I've got to warn people, and so he leaves. Kara's dead. That's how they break the seal. Because they know how, Ben. And then, like, they have to come back, right? Like, the Hinterlander stuff has to come back at some point, because otherwise...
That's
they
exactly how I feel about breaking the connection. Like,
Yeah,
why introduce any of this if you're not going to do anything with it?
The Hinterlander stuff, though, it has to come back. Because it's like, why would you end it with a coup if they're not going to come back? You would just say, like... And then they left and said, "Good luck, Rin," and they disappeared into the wilderness.
What if it's just to get rid of Chagin?
I guess.
Okay, so here's the problem. Here's
but
what
then I'm
screws
gonna be like, "Fuck you! I want to know more about Chagin." Then why did you do all that shit?
Here's what screws me up.
Because they could have gotten rid of Chagin by like, "All right, well, we're going north now, Chagin, and like your assignment in Nakara is done, so you're coming with us." And he's just like, "Okay.
I need to go. My people need me."
Yes.
No, I have a problem, which is the Hinterlanders. We've established now they're basically Mongolian.
I think so. Yeah.
How does that play in to the story of Mao Zedong?
Maybe we're wrong, and maybe they're Russian, comrade. I'm gonna put in the Soviet national anthem here. Sorry, what?
Who are the Bolognians then?
Funny people with the funny name. I forgot about the fucking Bolognians.
They strike me as the obvious Soviet
mention
analog.
them. Did this
It
book
mentions them
mention
once. It mentions them once alongside the Hesperians because they seem to be both like ethnically white.
Oh yeah, I guess should we mention the Hesperians? They had a big war on their continent. I don't know if that's important. I wondered if that was like World War II? I don't.
It's tough to say because the Hesperians seem to be an analog for like Europe as a whole, like all of Christendom.
That's why I'm wondering, like, are the Hesperians from one nation, or is it like a continent full of nations?
This is what I don't know, and this is where this is what the bulk of our like after conversation is going to be when I finally see what all these analogies and metaphors play out to be. Because right now she is drawing very heavily on the colonialization of China and the World War II stuff with Japan. And
oh yeah, that's another thing I wanted to bring up. I do feel like this book definitely like blended the two areas, the two time periods together in a way that the first book, it felt more jarring.
Yeah, but this book I felt, and this could be I don't know enough about Chinese history, maybe these were more paralleling actual events. I felt like this let the story go where the story wanted to go and let the metaphors fit more naturally in. And I'm wondering if the Burning God is going to let the story continue to evolve as a fantasy series, or is more historical stuff that is out of place going to get put in? Because Rin isn't Mao. Mao wasn't a shaman, right?
Yeah, and
Mao
also Mao
stamped out religion.
Yeah, and Mao, like, he had an ideology that drove him and his followers.
Yeah. So
Rin doesn't have that right now.
Rin is not Mao.
Correct.
So we're kind of playing the guessing game with Kuang's intentions here.
Well, that's the problem with 1-to-1. Or not,
She
it's not
did
1-to-1, but that's the problem with making it so close to reality.
Yeah. Well, and she said she's not going to revisit this world for her next book or the book after that, and maybe not ever again. Like, I don't blame her, because I think the whole thing's going to fall apart if you stretch it any further. At the very least, it would go away from historical China, because Rin is not going to establish single party communism, right?
I doubt it.
I mean, that's the thing. Like,
if they start
that
talking
can't be where
about
this goes,
a
right?
guy named like
A Hesperian named Karl Marx.
Yeah, I was gonna say Paul Blarks or something. Right?
Yeah.
He had this weird idea of like the peasants overthrowing their.
Yeah. And ostensibly, you would think Rin is not going to stamp out all shamanism.
No, because she wanted to train an army of shamans.
Yeah.
She wanted to do the opposite of that.
I feel like the best possible ending would be that Rin somehow creates an independent Nikara that draws power from a shared culture.
Yeah, good
somehow
luck.
Under shamanism, because they do all kind of worship the same gods, or they used to before everything got all confused.
Again, good luck. That's the thing. She's not a cultural leader. All she knows how to do is break things. And I guess if you break enough stuff, we can all kind of bond about how shit life is right now. But I don't think they're going to bond with you, the person who broke all their shit.
Yeah. Are there historical parallels in this one that I don't know, just other than white people colonized China?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder... I mean, because the Civil War happened, but it didn't happen like this.
China, I mean, which of China's many civil wars do you want to pick?
Right, well, the one immediately after and before. And
during World War II. Yeah. They paused to get rid of the Japanese, and then... But like that's the other thing too, is like, did they both pause to get rid of the Japanese in this one? So like, is the Dragon Republic going to go become Taiwan? Is it 1-to-1 allegory, or are we putting that on the book and it doesn't really belong there?
I think the first book set it to almost be a 1-to-1 allegory. I think it's getting away from that in this book. But it is not unreasonable for us to think there might be more allegory here because of the first book.
Yeah. And like I said, my knowledge of Chinese history is limited. Like, I know the World War II stuff, obviously, and I know a little bit about like, I guess, if it's called Warring States China. I mean, I'm drawing way back on like my high school education here, because I haven't really looked into a lot of that stuff as an adult. And so this is the other this speaks to the quality of these books, is that I feel like I need to go read another 5 books of Chinese history after this one, because I don't know, I wish I knew all the references, because I'm very intrigued by the North-South divide. That is something about Chinese culture I don't know. And then when they start talking about not being able to understand the Southern dialect, I was like, is that like a Mandarin Cantonese split in the language? Or I don't know. There's so much crap I got to read. Like I got to start reading more. I got to quit playing video games entirely. The stream's canceled.
Anyway, I think that's actually the end of that part, though. Ren and Kite are on a raft, and Chagan leaves.
Yeah, that is the end of that part, because the next one starts with, like, and then we starved and trained for 29 days.
And we learned all about my X-Men superpowers.
And Kite crumpled into the fetal position over and over again.
And you know what? Good for him.
And then during the final battle, I stopped thinking about that entirely.
Yeah, well, he's up on the cliff. He's fine.
Because Rin is a bad friend. Yeah, no, he's rolling around on a cliff. That's much better.
Well, he's got Venka up there.
I will say, we didn't talk about Venka.
We can bring her up in the next part.
Yeah, we might have to bring her up in the next part. She really probably should have been mentioned in episode 1. I like that they paid off Venka. And I like how it kept paying off. Because, like, Rin was just totally out of members of the Psych by the end. And Venka joins for obvious reasons. And stays loyal again for reasons that made sense then. And I was like, okay, good.
Ah, yes, we've got more people who he can throw into the meat grinder that is war.
Well, yeah, but Venka wants to be. I mean, she wants to get in there and some shit up.
Yeah, and I don't blame her one bit.
No,
Fuck
not
everyone.
at all. Yeah.
Let's make the next story about Venka getting fire powers.
I'm surprised, I wonder if, like, Rin would train her. Phoenix would have a blast with you.
Yeah, I love that she was like, Nezha, come with me. I can train you on how to use your powers. And he and I both had the same response. You don't even have control of your own powers.
Yeah, Rin... You're the worst shaman that's ever existed.
Yeah.
You're literally the worst. You're literally the worst one. You suck. Anyway, so next time on Words About Books, we'll be covering... we'll be covering Poppy War Part 3. Check us out on Twitter at WABpod. Check out the blog at blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja. If you would like to contribute to the show financially, you could give us a tip, buy us a coffee over at buymeacoffee.com/WABpod. If you don't want to contribute financially, but you would still like to help us out, give us a share, give us a follow, tell your friends about the show. Every listener helps. I'm done talking.
Bye. Next time on Words About Books.
You just start over. You just burn it all down and start over. Which,
hey,
that's like a phoenix. Oh my god.
Did you just make that?
As I was saying it, I realized what I was saying. Shit, dog. That's smart.
Whenever they do an adaptation of this, they just need to have Kite in the far distant background screaming every time she uses firepower. You know what?